Constructing a Leninist model of revolution, or a consistent, structured, theoretical, philosophical system of Leninism, are practices which can only begin from an unstable foundation. Lenin was not in the business of devising either a model or a systematic philosophy. His business was preparing and conducting a revolution. To achieve this, as we've noted several times already, consistency was sacrificed to expediency. Lenin stood for whatever he thought suited the ever-shifting situation of the moment. Like an ancient navigator, he followed a guiding star, but he needed to tack back and forth with the changing wind and take appropriate action to deal with extremes of weather. In that sense, we can perhaps identify the star, but that will be something so general it hardly helps. For example, we can say that his goal was consistently for proletarian revolution, though even here there were lapses into something nearer to populism. For instance, perhaps the most important practical piece of writing he ever accomplished, the decree establishing Soviet power on the 26th of October 1917, does not single out the workers, but claims power has been seized by Petrograd workers and the garrison, and by a coalition of workers, peasants and soldiers. This is clearly a populist rather than purely Marxist formulation, and is an accurate description of what happened in October. Setting aside that later historiography down to the present has not brought out to the full Lenin's undoubtedly correct, even obvious perception about the role of soldiers, who were the main revolutionary force from October to the end of the main civil war in late 1920, there is clearly an instinctive populist within Lenin, as was the case with many other Marxists, such as Mao Zedong, who was dismissed in Moscow, and the Chinese Communist Party HQ in Shanghai in the 1920s, precisely for being more populist and peasant-oriented than Marxist and proletarian. In the same way, there is also an instinctive Bakuninist within the brilliant fluidity of Lenin's political assessments of whatever conjuncture of events he was dealing with at any given time. Obviously, Lenin was deeply immersed in Marxism as his primary intellectual source of inspiration, but also clearly had populist and Bakuninist tones, which made his views distinctive. Nowhere is his similarity to Bakunin more obvious than in his main theoretical meditation on revolution, his pamphlet, The State and Revolution. Writing it was Lenin's main preoccupation during the enforced lull in his activities in 1917 between July and early September, but Lenin was, as he wrote at the very end of the pamphlet, interrupted.